How do you make the perfect high protein tofu pancakes without any gluten or protein powder? Well, let me show you. Oh, and by the way, my name is George. I've been a chef for 10 years and I post weekly plant-based cooking and recipe videos, so be sure to subscribe and stick around. So to make the buttermilk alternative, we're simply going to combine a tablespoon of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar or white wine vinegar with the soy milk, and that's going to curdle it. I find soy milk does work best as it has a high protein content, but this will work with other plant-based milks, just not quite as well. Set that aside for a few minutes and we'll start on the dry mix. I'm going to be using some buckwheat flour in these pancakes, which has a lovely nutty flavor, but I don't tend to use it just on its own as it can be slightly bitter. So we're going to add in some gluten-free flour mix, which is going to add more structure and is less bitter. Into a large bowl, I'm going to add the gluten-free flour mix, then buckwheat flour. Most pancake recipes I've found don't contain enough raising agent to give you that lift that you really want to get a nice fluffy interior. By adding baking soda as well as baking powder to the mix, it's going to give the pancakes a lovely brown caramelized exterior. You just need to add something acidic to the mix to react with the baking soda, otherwise it's going to leave a sort of metallic-like flavor behind, which we don't want. Baking soda and powder, and just a small pinch of salt. I'm going to use about probably 1/4 teaspoon. Now, salt may seem like an odd thing to add to a sweet product, but it's simply going to enhance the sweet flavor of the pancakes. It's also going to react with the starches in the gluten-free flours and create a more stable and fluffy pancake. And then just whisk to combine. You want the salt and the baking powder and baking soda all to be mixed in really well with the flour. Now for the wet mix, we're going to add our tofu to a blender. Also some ground flaxseed. Flax seeds are going to once again provide more structure to the pancake, and that means that the gas created by the leavening products that we're using is going to be contained within the pancake and create a lovely fluffy end result. 2 medjool dates, you could also use regular dates or you could even use raisins. I'm going to be using a couple dates in this to sweeten it, and they also give it a lovely caramelly flavor, but you're welcome to use just regular sugar or some maple syrup. I would definitely add a little bit of sweetener of some kind because the buckwheat flour can be slightly bitter. And then the sort of soy milk, buttermilk that we created is going to go in, and we'll just blend that until smooth. Almost forgot, I'm also adding a teaspoon of vanilla essence. Then just pour your wet mix into the dry ingredients. And we're just going to gently fold this in. I prefer to use a spoon over a whisk as you're less likely to overmix it, which would result in a flat, dense pancake. And we're looking for nice, fluffy pancakes. You want to mix this until the dry ingredients are only just mixed in, and then you want to stop right there to ensure that you don't overmix it. And it's already looking amazingly light and fluffy. So just gently fold it in, no vigorous mixing going on here. I can see all the bubbles being created already. I also like to then let it sit for just a few minutes after I've mixed it to let it sort of rise and create some of those really nice bubbles that we're wanting, so we get nice fluffy pancakes. How many times am I going to say fluffy in this video? That is the question. That's looking pretty good. I haven't seen any clumps of flour. It's always good to go right to the bottom of the bowl. That's looking good, so I'm going to stop mixing that. I'm just going to set it aside for just a few, maybe like 5 minutes before we start cooking them. We want to get this pan fairly hot as that's going to give the pancake its lift and help it rise. I'm going to go for a combination of olive oil and butter. The olive oil has a higher smoke point, and then the butter is going to give it a lovely buttery, caramelized outside. Once the butter is melted and sizzling, we can add in our pancake mix. I'm just going to dollop it in. And then after about 1.5 minutes, you can flip them over. Got a lovely caramelized brown outside. Oh, nearly missed the pan. As you can see, they've got an amazing lift to them and a beautiful caramelized outside. I'll probably give them about 1.5 minutes on the second side. Because they've got the tofu in them, they do take slightly longer than your regular sort of pancake. Look at that for a mega stack of pancakes. Depending on how the oil and butter is looking, I'll usually give the pan a quick wipe out and get some new oil and butter in there, just so that you don't get that sort of burnt bits of pancake on your new ones. If you've got a really nice sizzle, then you know you're going to get a really nice lift from your pancake. With this mix, you can really vary the amount of liquid. You can sort of add an extra 20 ml, 30 ml or so if you want some slightly flatter pancakes like these ones. Or you can go for the more thicker ones, more sort of almost like drop scones like this one. So I added an extra 40 ml of soy milk to this batch. They're not going to have quite the same height as the previous batch, but they may be just a little bit lighter, and of course they're going to be a little bit thinner as well. So you can sort of add or reduce the milk depending on how thick you want your pancakes. So these are the two batches, and they'll both be beautifully fluffy. It's just about preference really, whether you want these slightly thinner ones or the thicker, more American style ones. I'll have the proportions in the recipe in the description box, so you can decide for yourself. For the topping, I love to make a simple blueberry compote, just by combining some blueberries and some maple syrup, and that is going to be absolutely delicious. Maybe like 125 grams of blueberries and just like a tablespoon or two of maple syrup is perfect. And I'll just bring that to a simmer and cook it for literally just a couple of minutes. Now for the exciting part, let's get that beautiful blueberry compote on top. Beautiful. Okay, I might have to just deconstruct this tower just a little bit so I can get a proper mouthful. Get some of that syrup. Blueberries and maple syrup, what more can you want? You really can't taste the tofu at all. These pancakes have a lovely fluffy inside, slightly moist as well. They haven't like dried out like you get with protein powder pancakes. And then a nice caramelized top. They don't taste like tofu at all, just sort of nutty and vanilla-y, really tasty. Yeah, a winner in my books. Delicious. Thank you for watching. For another sweet breakfast idea, and check out these healthy breakfast cheesecakes. They are so delicious.